बता तो दिया था 2 बजे से पहले।
सर 2 बजे अब कभी नहीं होता है कि नहीं देख पाते हैं किसी भी रीजन से। जैसे मैं क्लास से पहले
देखो ये मीटिंग इमरजेंसी में कॉल की गई थी क्योंकि ना मेरे पास बहुत कॉल आ रहे थे रिगार्डिंग ना सिलेबस एंड ऑल। ओके, सो आई आल्सो फेल्ट कि टुडे इज द राइट टाइम टू टॉक विद यू गाइस। चलो आई विल एक्सप्लेन, आई टेल यू गाइस। वैसे मैंने अमन बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट बात बताई थी मीटिंग में।
तुम इसीलिए तो मुझे भी तो करनी थी ना।
तो मुझे भी पता नहीं था कब मीटिंग हो।
कोई बात नहीं, तुमने सबने मिस कर दिया।
इंफॉर्मेशन ही नहीं है था।
कोई बात नहीं, उसकी रिकॉर्डिंग नहीं है अमन। वैसे वो बात हमारी ऑलरेडी हो चुकी है अमन, मैंने पढ़ने का तरीका बताया था। कोई बात नहीं, चलो कोई
ठीक है,
बात
मैं आपका टाइम लूंगा फिर अलग से।
हाँ मैं बता दूंगा। अरे इनमें से किसी से पूछ लेना, अर्पित से पूछ लेना, अर्पित बता देगा।
ठीक है।
अर्पित मोटिवेशनल स्पीच देता है लोगों को।
बनता है
नहीं यार ऐसा कुछ नहीं है।
अरे यार देखो, हम लोग कुछ नहीं बनते तो हमें किसी को जवाब नहीं देना, ठीक है। अर्पित को अपने बेटे को जवाब देना है। बेटा जिस दिन बेटा पापा का रिपोर्ट कार्ड मांगेगा ना, उस दिन अर्पित बहुत बुरा होगा।
ये तो है यार, ये तो होता है।
पापा पहले अब अपना रिपोर्ट कार्ड दिखाओ, फिर मैं अपना दिखाऊंगा। पूजा नहीं है, पूजा के साथ भी कुछ ऐसा ही है। पूजा का है, पूजा का बेटा तो अभी छोटा है। ओके, वी वर डिस्कसिंग राइट टू फ्रीडम, Article 19 of Indian Constitution. Yesterday, I told you about Article 19 is like it deals with right to freedom of speech and expression. Okay, speech and expression आपके बोलने का अधिकार या आपको किसी भी चीज कोई भी तरीके से व्यक्त करने का अधिकार। Okay, so right to freedom of speech and expression deals with like Article 19. Okay, अब आर्टिकल 19 क्या है? इट इज राइट टू फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच एंड एक्सप्रेशन। अब व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय दिस? लाइक ये जो स्टेटमेंट्स लिखे हैं, व्हाट इज दिस? ये जो स्टेटमेंट्स लिखे हैं 1 2 3, व्हाट इज दिस? व्हाट इज एग्जैक्टली व्हाट इज दिस? व्हाट इज दिस? जो बताएगा। टाइप्स ऑफ राइट्स नहीं, no, it's not fundamental rights. No, it's not clause. Categories, no, actually these are interpretations of Article 19. These are basically interpretations of Article 19, or we can call them as inferred rights जो कि हम Article 19 से derive करते हैं, ठीक है। Rights are explaining the meaning of the nahi Animesh wrong. So these are basically interpretations. Okay, these are basically interpretations of Article 19. So we were discussing Article 19 gives freedom of speech and expression. So you have right to give speeches, you can give the speeches, you have right to put hoardings, banners and all. Press, freedom of press is there. Right to information, right to criticize others and answer to one's criticism. This I have explained in yesterday's class also. Right to keep silence, we took the example of Palak. And right to hoist national flag, you have freedom of expression of like expression by hoisting the national flag. Okay, now there are certain grounds on which reasonable restrictions can be put on Article 19 of Indian Constitution. On certain grounds you can put exceptions or restrictions on Article 19 of Indian Constitution. Firstly, write down in your notebook. Article 19 of Indian Constitution. Article 19 of Indian Constitution gives right to freedom of speech and expression. Article 19 of Indian Constitution deals with right to freedom of speech and expression. Right to freedom of speech and expression. Written. Okay. There are large number of interpretations. There are large number of interpretations. There are large number of interpretations of Article 19. Okay. Point number 1. Right to give speech and expression. Right to give speech and expression. Right to give speech and expression. Yeah, Animesh, these interpretations are there in the Constitution. Animesh ने question पूछा है, are these interpretations mentioned in the Constitution? Yes, the interpretations are mentioned in the Constitution. Number 1, right to give speech and expression. Write down. With the help of this right, one can express. With the help of this right, one can express himself or herself freely. Okay. Express freely. Okay. Next point is right to put hoardings and banners. Right to put hoardings and banners. Right to put hoardings and banners. Now just write down freedom of press. Freedom of press. Right to information, in bracket write down RTI. RTI, freedom of press, in bracket after that right to information, in bracket write down RTI. Next point, write down right to criticize others and answer one's criticism. Right to criticize others and answer one's criticism. Next point, write down right to keep silence. Right to keep silence. And last point, write down right to hoist national flag. A question I'd like to ask you guys. It's a very in-depth question. Okay, I hope you guys will be able to answer. Supreme Court in one of its famous judgment. Supreme Court in one of its famous judgment has given the verdict: a person can hoist national flag on the building throughout the year. In which case the judgment was proclaimed? Supreme Court in one of its famous judgment said that a person can hoist national flag on top of its building throughout the year. to show its respect to the nation. In which of the following cases this judgment was proclaimed? Tell me. In Hindi, if you want, I can repeat. सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने अगर अपने एक फेमस जजमेंट में ये बोला था कि एक फेमस जजमेंट में ये बोला था कि एक व्यक्ति अपने बिल्डिंग के ऊपर नेशनल फ्लैग को हॉइस्ट कर सकता है पूरे साल भर के लिए, ठीक है, टू अपने देश के प्रति अपने रिस्पेक्ट व्यक्त करने के लिए. वो कौन सा केस था? एनीवन? अमन, नो आइडिया? एनिमेश? Animesh is writing something, so I'm waiting. अब पता नहीं वो क्या लिख रहा है. Animesh, anyone, Soumya, कोई? At least switch on your microphone and talk with me. Lipsa, write down. In Naveen Jindal case, the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court has given a famous verdict, that a person can hoist national flag on a building, on a public building, national flag on a public building throughout the year to show respect to the nation, to the nation. Written? Yes. Now, reasonable restrictions. You want to write more inferred rights, or लिखना है? You want me to like give you more inferred rights, or enough? I think this much is enough. और लिखना है? Ruxana, what is she saying? Ruxana, jaldi. Okay. Write down. There are certain reasonable restrictions can be put on Article 19 of Indian Constitution. Point number 1. In the interest, write down the statement clearly. In the interest of maintaining security of a state. In the interest of maintaining security of a state. In the interest of maintaining security of a state. Okay. So in order to ensure that the security of the nation is not tampered with, okay, not tampered with, Article 19 can be restricted. I'll give you an example. Okay, right to information you have in Article 19. Okay, now you are seeking a secret information or a confidential information about Indian Army. So आपने वो information ले लिया, you are taking the information, you can misuse it. So on that aspect, to maintain the secrecy or to maintain the confidentiality of a particular document or a particular aspect of the government of India, Article 19 can be restricted. Clear? Arey guys, yeah, switch on your microphone, otherwise I'll start getting bored.
Yes, sir.
अमन यार ऐसे मुझे पढ़ाने में मजा नहीं आता.
Yes, sir.
ठीक है सर।
ठीक है। दूसरी बात, अब किसने बोला है, किसी ने क्वेश्चन पूछा है, अच्छा ये सर है। दूसरी बात, इन द इंटरेस्ट to maintain the sovereignty and integrity of our nation, in the interest of to maintain the sovereignty and integrity of our country, जो हमारा यूनिटी और इंटीग्रिटी या सोवरेनिटी, हमारे देश को एकजुट रखने के लिए या हमारे देश की डिसीजन मेकिंग पावर को कोई हैम्पर ना करे, उस चीज को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए, टू मेंटेन द सोवरेनिटी, टू अपहोल्ड द सोवरेनिटी, integrity of our nation, अगर उसके खिलाफ, if something goes against that, article 19 can be restricted. Okay, clear?
Yes sir.
Now you have, हाँ उत्तम ने बिल्कुल सही बोला। अब सुनो, हमारे क्लास में नॉरम है, नॉरम फ्रैंकी सिंह। अब नॉरम साहब को, नॉरम के पास आर्टिकल 19 है, दैट मींस नॉरम हैज राइट टू स्पीच। ओके, राइट टू स्पीच। अब नॉरम, यू आर फ्रॉम विच स्टेट?
मणिपुर।
मणिपुर। अब नॉरम को भाई आर्टिकल 19 है, नॉरम ने मणिपुर में एक स्टेज बनाया और यहाँ से नॉरम पाकिस्तान को बोले जा रहा है, मैं पाकिस्तान को ये कर दूंगा, पाकिस्तान को वो कर दूंगा, मैं लाहौर कब्जा कर लूंगा, ये कर लूंगा, वो कर लूंगा। तो ऑब्वियसली नॉरम हैज द राइट टू स्पीच। ओके, नॉरम डेफिनेटली हैज राइट टू एक्सप्रेस हिमसेल्फ, बट the way of expression या the thing which you are expressing should not be on that extent, कुछ उस कदर नहीं होना चाहिए, it should not lead to that extent that you are tampering with the relationship with the, you are tampering our relationship with our neighbor countries or especially any foreign state. So your expression should not hurt the integrity of the society, your expression should not hurt the sovereignty of the society, your expression should not spoil the relationship between the foreign countries. Clear or not?
Yes sir.
Okay,
तो सर ऐसी स्टेटमेंट्स को लोग सोशल मीडिया पे देते ही रहते हैं।
that is wrong, that is wrong। कभी कभी उस स्टेटमेंट में बैन भी करते हैं। ओके,
तो उस पे कोई एक्शन भी ले सकता है?
बिल्कुल ले सकते हैं, आप डाल के देखो, बिल्कुल कर सकते हैं। नहीं, बिल्कुल कर सकते हैं, बिल्कुल कर सकते हैं। There can be an action taken against it. Okay, reasonable restrictions can be put on Article 19 of Indian Constitution. Article 19 of Indian Constitution, in order to maintain friendly relationship with any foreign state. Okay, is this much clear? Friendly relationship with any foreign state.
Yes sir.
Okay, now the third point is, last point is to maintain public order. Now LIPSA has the right to speech, but that doesn't mean LIPSA is standing on the roads and delivering a speech which is like creating a traffic jam. Okay, so you definitely have the right to give speeches, but it should not hamper or like intrude into the public life. Okay, so reasonable restrictions can be put on Article 19 in order to maintain public order. Clear? अब हम आगे देखते हैं।
So the content of court thing, should it be considered above this like freedom of expression and
No. No.
So
Again, I'm coming to it. Like, let me explain. Okay. Soumya, contempt of court is entirely different thing. Okay. like the court is the highest, like judiciary is something which is considered as to be most divine and pristine in our country. Okay, if you are not following the court's decision, aapke, like there should be something to guard you, there should be something to guide you as well. The constitution guides you, but the courts guards you. अगर आप उसी की बात नहीं सुन रहे हैं तो it is up, like it is like going against the constitution. Okay, it cannot be considered as like मेरे पास freedom है तो मैं कुछ भी बोलता. Okay, और दूसरा the secondary thing is like you cannot criticize a court's judgment unnecessarily. You can definitely, agar Supreme Court, High Court has given a verdict, High Court has given a verdict, and if you are not satisfied with that verdict, you can definitely go and appeal in Supreme Court. Even if you are not satisfied with the verdict given by Supreme Court, you can re-appeal in Supreme Court. But to criticize a judge is like disrespecting that divinity of judiciary. So that is contempt of court is an extremely different thing. Okay, Soumya.
Sir,
Anyway,
like you said, we can't criticize the judgment of court. So let's say someone is not like directly appealing back for they don't find the judgment to be right, and they are not directly appealing back. They are writing a like article online or something like that, blog online. So is that illegal?
It is a punishable offense. If you are taking the name of the judge, or if you are taking a particular name of a judiciary and writing an article on the social media, okay, and that is an illegal thing. You can definitely go and appeal, but you can't like spoil the image of like
like we can't take the name of the judge who has given the decision, but we can mention the case.
You can mention the case. Okay, like Aman has like the case of Ram Mandir. By Ram Mandir में क्या हो गया, मन बताओ.
सर जैसे कुछ लोगों ने करा था क्रिटिसाइज उसको भी, जैसे अनिमेश ने बोला कि
they criticize, but you cannot take the judge's name and you cannot humiliate the judge's post. Okay, you can take Ram Mandir तो सदियों से चलता आ रहा है, but
Yes, sir.
you cannot particularly take the name of the judge and criticize his position. Okay.
पर उन्होंने सुप्रीम कोर्ट के ऊपर तो बोला ही था, they criticize the Supreme Court.
Definitely because that was a religious issue and that they could have gone for reappeal, but they didn't go for reappeal. Aman, most पहले तो ये चीज समझो, there are two types of politics. Okay, there are two types of politics. The politics which goes as per the constitution, the politics which goes as per the Constitution of India. Okay,
Yes,
the other politics which is talked in the tea stalls of India.
Yes.
Okay, टी स्टॉल्स ऑफ इंडिया में तो मोदी को भी क्रिटिसाइज कर सकते हैं और ओबामा को भी क्रिटिसाइज कर सकते हैं, डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प को भी क्रिटिसाइज कर सकते हैं.
Yes.
बट व्हेन यू आर गोइंग विद द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल एस्पेक्ट्स, देयर इज लिमिटेशंस.
Yeah.
गॉट इट.
Yes.
पलक वाज राइटिंग समथिंग, फिर वो पता नहीं उसको क्या हो गया, उसने मिटा दिया, पता नहीं क्या लिख. लाइक द केस ऑफ प्रशांत भूषण ट्वीट्स. या प्रशांत भूषण tweets has been criticized, and legal action will be taken against him. If he finds guilty, he will be punished for that. Very good example. Now, write down Article 19 में ही लिखना, right to form assembly and association and unions. Article 19 also gives right to form assembly, right to form association and trade unions. Okay, you can form assembly. What is assembly? A group of people joining together for working something, like a meeting kind of. Association, welfare association, like residents association, you can form association. You can form trade union also. Okay, but what is the difference? What is the difference by forming an assembly, association, and a trade union? What is the difference between like assembly, association, and a trade union? Assembly, association, and a trade union. बताओ. चलो मुझे ये बता दो, why trade unions are formed? अर्पित बताएगा. Why trade unions? Arpit?
Yes, the trade unions are formed this to represent a group of laborers, workers, and to project or put forth their demands to the administration. In sort of a cumulative way, you need to put up your demands to the administration so as to pressurize them or just so as to force them for accepting of their demand. अपनी rights के लिए लड़ने के लिए just can make up some sort of trade unions, अपनी demands project कर सकते हो, and the demands may include anything. It may include some working conditions, enhancement of working conditions, increment of wages, or
Very correct.
remittance.
Very correct. Very correct. Pooja Gautam has also answered. Okay, people having common interest. See, assembly. I'll give you an example. Like assembly is like we all are assembled today here for discussing a matter. Okay, we definitely have right to discuss. Okay, associations like monthly, like we are investing some amount and like chit funds are there. Like we invest some amount, we form an association, and we are for our own welfare. We are forming an association. There are welfare association, housing association, so on. Trade unions are basically those organizations where the workers of an office, workers of a factory, they join together to have their rights maintained. Like they should be, like if they feel that their rights are not maintained or they are not given proper rights, basically the trade unions fight for their rights. They ask for their rights from the management. ये अर्पित ने भी बता दिया. Now, how reasonable restrictions can be put on this? I'll tell you. What I have made you right. You have right to form assembly, association, and trade unions. Okay, ये मैंने आपको लिखवा दिया. I have made you write this. Okay. Labor union, Aman, labor union is correct. Ruxana is also correct. But now, how reasonable restrictions? By we guys are sitting, assembling in one room, and we are talking about this. We will plant bomb here. We will plant bomb at Parliament of India. That is disturbing the security of the country, right? So even when you are forming an assembly or an association, it should not tamper with the national interest or security of the nation. Okay, clear? Even if you are forming the trade union, or even if you are forming the trade union or any association or assembly, the first thing is it should not tamper with the security of the nation. Second thing, trade unions can be formed in any organization except in armed forces and paramilitary forces. They can have welfare association. Okay, Arpit working in Indian Army can have welfare association. They can have welfare association, but they cannot have trade unions because trade unions usually go for strikes for their rights. अब समझ लो कि अर्पित और अर्पित की टीम strike पे चले गए तो हमारा क्या हाल होगा? If they go for strike, so this kind of things is not allowed in armed forces and paramilitary forces. Got it? Any doubts till now?
Got it, sir.
Okay, write down every citizen of the nation has right to form an assembly and association, but reasonable restrictions can be put on it. Reasonable restrictions can be put on it in order to maintain. Reasonable restrictions can be put on it in order to maintain national security. In order to maintain national security and national interest. The workers or the employers have the right to form trade unions, have the right to form trade unions, or labor union, but this kind of unions, are not allowed in armed forces and paramilitary forces. Clear?
Yes. सर सेक्शन 144 ऑफ आईपीसी जो लगता है तो वो राइट टू फॉर्म एन असेंबली को उसकी एक्सेप्शन
वो सबको वो स्पेशल केसेस होते हैं जब नेशनल इमरजेंसी वगैरह लगता है तो एवरीथिंग कैन बी स्टॉप्ड. ओके, इट इज डन बाय द ऑर्डर ऑफ इंडियन प्रेसिडेंट. एनी क्वेश्चन सूर्या? ओके, वेट. Now write down a right to have any occupation. Right to have any occupation. Okay, it's like you can select any job you want, but it should not be like that. If you are given any job, like you have given the freedom to select any job you want, that doesn't mean that Palak is going and joining Al Qaeda. Okay, that doesn't mean that you are going and joining any terrorist group. Okay, so you have right to choose an occupation, but reasonable restrictions can be put on that as well. Write down. Each individual of the nation has right to choose any occupation as per their needs. But reasonable restrictions can be put on. In certain industries, like cracker manufacturing industries, arms manufacturing industries.
Sir, repeat please.
क्यों रिपीट करूं?
मिस हो गया मेरा.
मैं क्या करूं? रीजनेबल रिस्ट कहां से?
But reasonable restrictions.
अच्छा, reasonable restrictions can be put on in arms manufacturing industries, cracker manufacturing industries, liquor industry, and chemical substance industry. समझ में आ गया? If you guys want to work in these industries, there can be reasonable restrictions imposed by the government of India to stop or to give certain provisions, exceptions to work in these industries. Clear? Any doubt? Okay. Soumya ready? Soumya, understand? You are understanding the concept? Tell me. Okay. Now you have right to move freely throughout the territory of India, right? आप इंडिया में कहीं भी जा सकते हो. And you now, after Jammu and Kashmir, Article 370 has resolved, you have right to move throughout any part of India, and you have right to settle down there. कहीं भी जाके आप settle कर सकते हो. You can go to any part of India, move there and settle down there. You can select your own occupation, but there are certain areas in India. So there are certain areas in India where you are not allowed to go. Okay. Aman, what you are saying? You are saying my voice is not audible. Switch on your microphone, guys. अरे बाप रे यार, तुम लोगों ने क्या कर दिया?
कैंट
Switch
एरिया,
on.
कैंट एरिया
अच्छा, कैंट
कंटोनमेंट
एरिया.
एरिया.
Okay, okay. Cantonment area, no, you can go there, but even in the cantonment area you can go there, but you cannot settle there. Embassies, no. Wait, I'll explain. There are,
वो तो गेट पे ही रोक लेता.
हाँ, गेट में रोकने के बाद आपके पास पास है तो अंदर जाने देंगे. अगर डाउट है तो अर्पित से पूछ लो. अर्पित अंदर जाने देते हैं ना अगर पास है तो.
Yes, yes. If you have security pass, so you can show and then you can go. I don't think security pass वगैरह है तो आराम से checking वगैरह करते हैं, बाकी it's not a problem.
वरना कोई दिक्कत है तो area mention in schedule 5. Sakshi, right, perfectly right. कुछ areas भारत में, there are some areas in India which comes under tribal areas. There are some areas which comes under tribal areas. You cannot go there and settle down there. Why? Because those people who are staying there are acclimatized with the natural environment. If someone from outsider comes to this area, he might not cope up with this natural environment and he can create an interruption into the environment. They won't be able to fit into this and they can spoil that natural environment. So though in those tribe areas, foreigners are allowed, or any alien persons are not allowed into those areas. In order to maintain the naturality of that area, the outsiders are not allowed. Only those people who are staying there, are allowed. Clear? Each individual, write down, each individual, very good Sakshi, each individual of the nation has right to freely move throughout the territory of India, and settle down in any part of the country. Freely move throughout the territory of India and settle down in any part of the country. But certain restrictions can be imposed. Certain restrictions can be imposed in certain scheduled areas, so to maintain or so to preserve the natural environment. So to preserve the natural environment. Okay. Clear? This much is clear because I'll ask you a question. Clear or not? So tourists are also not allowed. Tourists are also prohibited from that extreme. मतलब कोई ऐसा area हो जहाँ वे extreme condition को preserve करना हो. Even tourists are not allowed. Okay. Now I have a question for you guys. I made you write right to have any occupation. Okay. Now think properly and answer. Okay. I made you to write right to have any occupation, and I gave exceptions to it also. Okay. Manufacturing of crackers, manufacturing of liquors, chemical substance. There can be one more exception. Or there can be one more thing government can say on this. What is that? Right to occupation, मैंने आप लोगों को ये बताया कि any person can select occupation as whichever occupation he or she wants. but I have given you certain exceptions. But there can be certain no nuclear related ni export related ni occupation. There can be one more exception, or you can say there can be another clause added to it. देखते हैं. There can be another clause added to it. If you guys answer.
Trafficking in women or children.
That is the criminal offense.
So स्पेशलाइज सब्जेक्ट्स में जैसे जो जिन्होंने बायो पढ़ा है वही डॉक्टरेट कर सकते हैं और ऐसा.
Go more.
तो जैसे कि इंजीनियर्स वही कर सकते हैं जिन्होंने मैथ साइट लेकर पढ़ी है या ऐसा स्पेशलाइज सब्जेक्ट्स स्पेशलाइज्ड एरियाज.
Very correct Sakshi. Any person have right to choose any occupation. A person have right to choose any occupation, but qualification can be a criteria. Prescribed qualification can be a criteria. Just write there, just make a bracket there and just write it down there. Prescribed qualification can be prescribed academic qualification can be a criteria. Pooja, you are wrong. Prescribed qualification can be a criteria. Very good. Sakshi has answered 2 questions correctly today. Different questions. Those who are others couldn't answer. Sakshi would be getting some award after she becoming an IAS officer. Okay. Written. Just make a star and write down before I go to article 20. Make a star and write down. Make a big star and write very, very important. Right to property. Right to property was earlier a fundamental right. Right to property was earlier a fundamental right. But as per 44th Amendment 1978, as per 44th Amendment 1978, as per 44th Amendment 1978, this 44th Amendment took place in 1978. Right to property was removed as fundamental right. Right to property was removed as fundamental right. Now, right to property. Now, right to property is a legal right. Is a legal right. This question will be asked. Now, what kind of right is right to property? It is a legal right under Article 300A, 300 subclause A. Under Article 300A. Okay, so now right to property is a legal right. So this question will be asked, किस amendment say the right to property was removed from fundamental right? It was 44th Amendment. It was 44th Amendment 1978. Right to property was moved from fundamental right and now it is a legal right. Okay, I'll explain. Animesh. Right to property is a legal right. Okay. You need definition for legal right. Now the next article deals with. Just write down legal right. Legal right. Aman also says yes. A legal right. A legal right. Is certain right. Is certain right which is for benefit of the common man, but which is for the benefit of the common man and are protected by law. are protected by law, and once a person violates the legal right of other person, once the person violates the legal right of other person, once the person violates the legal rights of other person, it is punishable by law. For example, right to life. Right to life. For example, right to life.
Fundamental right and legal right. What difference like that?
भाई बता रहा हूँ. Right to life. Okay. Basically, what is the difference between fundamental rights and legal rights? Fundamental rights are those rights given by the state to the citizens. Like government of India अपने citizens को या भारत का संविधान अपने citizens को कुछ right देते हैं. That is fundamental rights. And the government, देखो हमने fundamental rights पढ़े होंगे तो it is clearly written. It prohibits the state from doing this. It prohibits the state from doing that. Okay, that is fundamental right. There are 6 fundamental rights. Legal right is you are killing me. Okay, so you are punishable under IPC and CRPC. That is legal aspect. Okay, you are having a fight with me. We both are going to the court. वहाँ पे fundamental right का issue आ सकता है because you are encroaching into my personal liberty, but it is more legal right that I am fighting for a legal thing that you are killing. Yeah, my family is fighting for something that I have been killed. So that is a legal right. जिसमें हम IPC, CRPC के courts को involve करते हैं. That is Indian Penal Code and Criminal Procedure Code. Okay. अब क्या पढ़ाना था? हाँ. Now Article 20 of Indian Constitution. Now we will do Article 20 of Indian Constitution. Now Article 20 of Indian Constitution is one of the article which I love the most. Why? बताओ भाई. What is Article 20 of Indian Constitution? Palak, tell me. Article 19 समझ में आ गया था ना?
Yes.
पलक आ गया था समझ में?
Yes, sir.
Now tell me what is Article 20 of Indian Constitution?
It is the protection in respect for any offences, conviction for offences.
ये कहाँ लिखा है? यहीं से पढ़ लिया गूगल वगैरह खोल के?
नहीं, मैंने उसमें पढ़ा था, लक्ष्मीकांत में पढ़ा था.
और बताओ, what you have read there?
That we can Article 20 grants protection against excessive punishment to an accused person, whether a citizen or a foreigner or any legal person like any company or corporation. Yes.
Okay, let us make Article 20 simple. Okay, while punishing a person, किसी इंसान को punish करते वक्त, even that person is given certain rights. Okay, even if a person is getting punished, that person also deserves certain right. Okay, so we are going with Article 20 of Indian Constitution. Write down Article 20 of Indian Constitution states that it gives protection in case of conviction. While punishing a person, the person also deserves certain rights. Okay, that is protection in case of conviction. Now, there are 2 types of cases. Listen to me very carefully. There are 2 types of cases. One is criminal case and other one is civil case. Criminal case is like murders, rape cases. These are all criminal cases. And civil cases is like land disputes. These are all civil cases. Okay. Now, Article 20 mein, I'm explaining you very, very important and key points. So listen to me very carefully. Okay. So Article 20 states that In criminal cases, there will be prospective effect. What does this mean? What does this mean? That in criminal cases, there will be punishment will have prospective effect. What does this mean?
So prospective means looking from ahead of a situation. So if something has happened, we look after that what has happened to that situation.
So explain
and
me na.
analyze it.
Aman is saying effective from today. Go to issue is right.
From present. आप पास से उसको इफेक्टिव नहीं कर सकते.
तो बताओ ना कैसे. बताओ. Manju saying to warn others. No. बताओ explain. वो तो prospective का मतलब तो सबको पता है कि आगे. But हाँ how?
तो जैसे अगर किसी और को ऑलरेडी कोई पनिशमेंट मिल ही गया तो आज
Sir, on the prospect of a criminal,
you are now unmuted.
So may I say?
Yeah, you.
Yes, sir. It means here when a crime has taken place and the law is made, the law is made after the crime and the law cannot be implemented on that crime, but after the crime has again been done.
सच बताओ तो मुझे कुछ समझ में नहीं आया.
मैं
एक मिनट उसे अर्पित यार उसे एक बार बोलने दो दिशा को. दिशा क्या बोला था?
हाँ सर, मैं ये बोल रही थी कि अगर किसी ने क्राइम किया है, वो क्राइम होने के बाद कोई लॉ बनाता है उसके ऊपर, और वही जो लॉ है वो जो पहले जो प्रायर जो किया है वह क्राइम उसके ऊपर इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं हो सकता, पर वापस अगर कोई क्राइम होता है तो उसके ऊपर इम्प्लीमेंट किया जा सकता है.
गलत. अर्पित.
Please, as a Jithin, there are two types of cases: criminal cases and civil cases. Civil cases may have a retrospect. कि अगर आपने आज टैक्स नहीं दिया है, कुछ नहीं दिया, आप उसको कर सकते हैं, उसको क्लेम कर सकते हैं पीछे जाके. बट इन फॉर ऑफ क्रिमिनल केसेस, अगर आपने आज के दिन ही क्राइम किया है, तो व्हाटएवर लॉ आज के दिन है आपका, व्हाटएवर लॉ फोर्सेस और व्हाटएवर लॉ स्टेट्स आपको जो ऑफेंस के अंदर जो भी है वो आज ही के में, आप बैक जाके रेट्रो जाके या फॉरवर्ड जाके उसको उस क्राइम के लिए उस पर्टिकुलर लॉ, अगर फ्यूचर में कोई लॉ अमेंड होता है, कुछ होता है, तो उसको आप कन्विक्ट नहीं कर सकते. प्रेजेंट लॉ प्रेजेंट ऑफेंस के हिसाब से उसको कन्विक्ट कर सकते हैं ऑफेंस के हिसाब से.
तुम सब लोगों को ना, आप सबको अच्छे से आता है सब कुछ, बट ना उसको एक्सप्लेन नहीं करना. सच्ची में दिशा को भी आता था. अर्पित ने लगभग सब सेम बोला है. अमन ने छोटा से बोला है. मैं एक चीज बताता हूँ.
बोलने यही चाह रहा हूँ.
हाँ सही कह रहा है. बता. अभी भी बताया नहीं है इन्होंने. सही बता मन.
वही बोलने वाला था मैं कि से भी बोलना चाह रहा था.
हाँ मैं समझ गया, बट हाँ मैं एक बात बताता हूँ. सपोज यहाँ पे किसका नाम लूं? सब ईमानदार बच्चे हैं. आदित्य. ये एनवायरमेंट वाले सर आप मेरे पीछे आ गए हैं, बट एनवायरमेंट वाले सर अभी आपके पास टाइम है, आप रुक जाइए. एक काम करते हैं. आदित्य ने क्या किया है? मर्डर किया है. ठीक है आदित्य, माइक्रोफोन. अच्छा आदित्य माइक्रोफोन से लॉगिन नहीं है. ओके, आदित्य ने मर्डर किया है, और आदित्य ने नहीं, जो माइक्रोफोन से लॉगिन है वही मर्डर करेगा. माइक्रोफोन से कौन लॉगिन है? अमन यार भाई. आदित्य कोई क्रॉस क्वेश्चन भी होगा ना, इसलिए आदित्य से मैं पूछ नहीं सकता. अमन ने मर्डर किया है. ठीक है, कितनी अच्छी बात है. और ये मर्डर अमन ने किया है अक्टूबर 2020 को. ठीक है. अरे भाई मैं फ्यूचर. चल यार तू भी खुश रहे. अमन ने मर्डर किया है फेब 2020 को. ठीक है. जब अमन ने ये मर्डर किया है, तो तब इस मर्डर का जो पनिशमेंट है, मान लो 5 years था. मर्डर का पनिशमेंट 5 years. गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने कोई ऑर्डिनेंस पास किया, एक ऑर्डिनेंस या नया लॉ या कोई कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में या आईपीसी या सीआरपीएस में कोई अमेंडमेंट किया, जिससे क्या हो गया, मार्च 2020 को ये लॉ बदल गया, ये जो लॉ बदल गया, मर्डर के चार्जेस बदल गए और बोला गया कि अब मर्डर का पनिश, दिस इज जस्ट एन एग्जांपल, ओके, अब जो मर्डर के चार्जेस होंगे 7 इयर्स होंगे, ठीक है। अब अमन का मर्डर है, अमन ने मर्डर किया है, बट इसका इन्वेस्टिगेशन चल रहा है और सितंबर 2020 को अमन का वर्डिक्ट आया, ठीक है। तो अब सितंबर में अमन, ये जो मर्डर का वर्डिक्ट का पनिशमेंट कितने साल का है, हाउ मेनी इयर्स पनिशमेंट विल बी गिवन?
सो वर्डिक्ट के हिसाब से 7 इयर्स,
7 years है। So see, listen to my question carefully, okay. See, Aman has committed a murder on Feb 2020, and on that date the murder's punishment was 5 years. In the month of March 2020, Government of India has made a change to the law and जो मर्डर का पनिशमेंट है इज 7 years, बट सितंबर 2020 को ये मर्डर का पनिशमेंट, जब जजमेंट, दिस इज द जजमेंट डे ऑफ अमन, जजमेंट आया तो मर्डर का पनिशमेंट 7 years है ऑब्वियसली, ओके। सो विल अमन बी पनिश्ड फॉर 5 years और विल अमन बी पनिश्ड फॉर 7 years?
सो 5 इयर्स।
क्यों भाई?
सो क्योंकि प्रोस्पेक्टिव इफेक्ट होगा ना उसका। मेरा जो पॉइंट ऑफ मतलब डे था जिस दिन मैंने मर्डर किया वो तो बिफोर मार्च आ रहा था, वैसे तो लोग 20 साल बाद वर्डिक्ट आते हैं।
Will Aman be punished for 5 years or 7 years?
For 7 years.
Aman will be punished for 7 years because in criminal cases prospective is seen, and prospective is after March 2020 the law has been changed, ठीक है। So Aman will be punished for prospective, that is 7 years. अगर यही सिविल केस होता, Aman ने मर्डर के जगह, if this would have been a civil case where Aman would have like indulge in a property aspect, like कोई भी जगह जमीन के इश्यू होता तो the punishment would have been 5 years. But since murder is a criminal charge, it will be given prospective effect. If it would have been a civil charge, it would have been given retrospective effect. Clear or not?
सर तो मीनिंग उल्टा नहीं हो गया?
कैसे?
क्योंकि रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव में होता है कि आप पीछे जाके आप उसको पनिश करोगे, जैसे 5 years
पीछे तो जा रहे हैं दोस्त।
तो हमारा तो प्रोस्पेक्टिव है ना, क्रिमिनल केस में तो प्रोस्पेक्टिव इफेक्ट है।
हाँ तो क्रिमिनल केस में मैं प्रोस्पेक्टिव तो बता रहा हूँ। देखो फेब में आपने मर्डर किया, यू हैव डन मर्डर ऑन फेब, सितंबर में लॉ चेंज्ड, सो इस दिन 5 years का था, लॉ चेंज हुआ तो इट इज 7 years. योर judgment is suppose in December, okay, December, तो इस दिन तो 7 years है ना, but you are going prospective because that murder was committed on month of February, okay, so you are going ahead na, you are not going back, got Aman. But अगर यही सिविल केस होता तो जजमेंट डे से you are going back and you are getting punished for 5 years. अमन पूछो। Animesh.
So in civil cases, if the like whatever the offense has happened, let's say it's happened in February, so and till then that was not a criminal case by the Indian Constitution, and in like say March or April it was changed. नहीं, ऐसे कभी नहीं होता कि सिविल केस क्रिमिनल केस बन गया, ऐसा कभी नहीं होता। तो सिविल क्रिमिनल नहीं, I mean कि let's say कि जो भी चीज हुई वो at the time of offense like February में वो कोई केस मतलब वो इलीगल नहीं था, वो चीज लीगल थी, बट later on कुछ amendments या कुछ changes आया and then it was made कहते हैं illegal and punishable. तो अब हम केस कर सकते हैं उस
so it will be under the prerogative of the judge who is like who is getting through the cases. वो judge decide करेंगे it's a punishable offense or not. Okay, suppose I can give अमन बोलो।
सर जैसे हम टैक्स वगैरह में पढ़ते हैं तो कोई जो नया लॉ आता है तो अगर आज से ही एप्लीकेबल है, जैसे आपने 7 इयर्स का था, अगर वो आज से एप्लीकेबल है आगे के लिए तो वो उसको प्रोस्पेक्टिव बोलते हैं। और अगर हमारा कोई ऐसा लॉ है जो 3-4 साल पहले से जाके वो उसको इफेक्ट करेगा तो उसको रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव बोलते हैं। जैसे वो 7 इयर्स का, मैंने मर्डर पहले किया होता तो वो 7 इयर्स का लगेगा, इसलिए उसको रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव बोला जाएगा।
तो आपका तो बाद वाला लग रहा है ना दोस्त?
हाँ लग रहा है, पर मैंने मर्डर पहले किया था ना, तो मुझे पहले जाके एप्लीकेबल हुआ ना आज का लॉ।
हाँ हाँ,
तो इसलिए उसको रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव बोलते हैं।
मैं आपको बताता हूँ। जैसे आपने मर्डर किया फेब में, ठीक है, बट यू आर गेटिंग पनिश्ड एज पर द लॉ व्हिच इज मेड इन द डिसम्बर।
यस सर।
ओके, सो इस वजह से लाइक यू विल बी टेकिंग द like the judge will be given that giving the decision as per जो December में predicted, that is it is given prospective effect from the date of the murder you are going ahead.
सर जो आप कह रहे हो, हमने जो मतलब मैंने जो अभी तक पढ़ा है वो ये है कि इस चीज को प्रोस्पेक्टिव बोला जाता है।
हाँ तो मैं मना थोड़ी कर रहा हूँ, इसी चीज को प्रोस्पेक्टिव ही तो मैं बोल रहा हूँ। तो
रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव बोला जाता है सर।
कैसे?
रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव
कैसे?
लॉ आज बना है और ये इफेक्ट पहले वाली चीज को कर रहा है, इसलिए इसको रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव बोला जाएगा।
पहली वाली चीज को कैसे
सर? क्योंकि मैंने मर्डर पहले किया था, या तो आप डेट वर्डिक्ट की डेट के हिसाब से कह रहे हो तो
जजमेंट, हाँ जजमेंट की डेट के हिसाब से कहते हैं हर वक्त कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में या लॉ में, इट इज गिवन ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ द जजमेंट आपके डेट ऑफ क्राइम के बेसिस में, डेट ऑफ जजमेंट के बेसिस में दिया जाता है। ठीक है, आप बात कर रहे हो क्राइम के, आप टैक्सेशन वगैरह से रिलेट कर रहे हो, ठीक है। मैं जब भी बात करूंगा मैं डेट ऑफ जजमेंट के दिन दे रहा हूं तो इट इज गिवन अ प्रोस्पेक्टिव। अगर डेट ऑफ अगर सिविल केसेस में तो मैं पीछे जाऊंगा, उस दिन का ढूंढूंगा जिस दिन उसने वो क्राइम किया, ठीक है।
यस,
मैं डेट ऑफ जजमेंट को लेकर बात कर रहा हूँ। एक और चीज मैं यहाँ कोट करना चाहूंगा जो कि इन्होंने बोला, अनिमेश ने बोला। अनिमेश ने एक क्वेश्चन पूछा था कि अगर कोई लॉ चेंज होता है, सपोज बेटिंग ही एग्जांपल ले लो, आज बेटिंग इंडिया में, बेटिंग इज नॉट लीगल इन इंडिया टुडे, सपोज बेटिंग हैज बीन मेड लीगल, या बेटिंग फ्यूचर में जाके लीगल हो जाता है, तो एंड अब जाके किसी का ऊपर एक केस करते हो कि यार इसने उस दिन बेटिंग किया था, सो इट डिपेंड्स ऑन द जज who is listening to the case, who is hearing to the case, that what action shall he or she should take on that. Okay, so okay, article 20 we will further deal, because article 20 doesn't finish here. I have just started it. Article 20 also deals with narco analysis, brain mapping, mind mapping, and all these things, and we will deal that in next class. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Take care. Bye. Good night. Because sir is also